Endrick is fire and ice. He plays with ferocious intensity, yet in front of goal, he's ice cold. That alone tells you how generational this striker is. Welcome to Beyond 90, and this is my new series, Scouting Notes. In this series, we will be profiling players all around the world, what makes them good, what they need to work on, any projections we see for them, looking at the finer details of players. Starting this week with Endrick on the back of a hat-trick performance against Metz this weekend. Before I get into it, please do make sure you subscribe. This is a new channel. We want to build up the audience as much as possible. Please do like and share as well, and please comment down below which player you want me to profile next. But without further ado, let's get into it. Now, of course, Endrick is a player who's been spoken about since he was 15, 16. He's one of those wonder kids that blows up on the net. And with these guys, there always comes so much pressure, and you know that people are just waiting for that little dip in form or that little setback, and then suddenly they want to tear them down. And this has happened with Endrick. I think his struggles at Real Madrid were not abnormal. One, as a player of his age, but also a player at such a major club. You know, we've seen massive players struggle at Real Madrid. It's a really, really difficult club to play for, especially when you're such a young player. You're learning as a person, you're learning as a player. But also that switch from South American football to European football, do not underestimate that, because I want to touch on this later in the video, but South American football is so different to European football. There's so much more rigidity in European football, so much more tactical kind of restraints on players. And I sometimes think that South American players don't like that, but also they need a while to get on board with it or understand how they get the best out of themselves within those structures. Now, the really interesting thing about Endrick going to Lyon so far is that he's kind of played as a bit of an auxiliary right-sided player. Now, against Metz, he was sort of in a front two, the right side of that front two. But if we look at his heat map, he was occupying a lot of those right flank zones. And even previously to that game, he's been playing as a right winger. I think this is really suiting Endrick at this point of his career. Endrick wants to play with freedom. He's kind of above any structure. He's the type of player you let be free because he has that moment of magic in him. He has that ability to break structures through his abilities. Now, I think especially at European teams, the striker can be one of the most structurally demanding roles. You're expected to provide height for the team, to stretch teams. You're expected to link play back to goal. You're expected to occupy centre-backs too. A lot of managers want their striker to constantly occupy those centre-backs, constantly provide that height, stretch teams, push the centre-backs back to create spaces for those inside midfielders. A lot of the movements from the striker, depending on the manager, are quite repeatable. They're quite automatic. They're quite kind of fixed. You look at the modern striker now, and there's so many demands on them linking play all the time, holding their position. We've heard Haaland talk about his patience that's needed with playing in his striker role, where he doesn't want to move too much. He wants to occupy the zones that he can be most effective in, which is the width of the penalty area. But Endrick, being a typical Brazilian South American player, he rejects automation. He has that gift to be able to break structures, but you have to be able to give him the freedom to do that. Now, I think a bit of a short-term to mid-term solution for this is playing him on that right flank. On that right flank, he has more freedom to drift, occupy different zones. He can pop up in those central areas. He can drift out wide. So the flank becomes a bit of a launch pad for him. Whereas I think at Real Madrid at times, the 9 role was a bit of a cage for him. It was so restrictive of the abilities that he has and that freedom that he likes to play with. Endrick is a player that always wants to take risks. He's got that ferocious intensity. He wants to constantly make runs beyond. And with that ferocious intensity, that constant need to be moving off the ball, at times when he's playing in the striker role, his movement comes away from the goal. It comes from the central areas out to wide areas, but on the flank, he's able to arrive late in the most dangerous zones, and that's close to goal. He's able to make those out to in runs rather than him moving away from goal. He's someone who wants to be on the move constantly. And if you have him in that 9 role, he is going to vacate those spaces. On the flank, he is also going to do the same thing, but he's going to arrive in more dangerous zones towards goal. So often a striker in the European top leagues, they have to be patient, they have to wait. And Endrick isn't a player that wants to wait. He wants to hunt. He wants to go and find moments. In terms of Endrick's physicality, we know that's one of his strong points. Despite being quite small in height, he is built like a cannonball. He's got that really low center of gravity, that explosive speed over those first yards. And so out wide, he can use this. He can be explosive. He's so good in duels because of that physicality combined with the athleticism, and he can create that bit of separation. And because he's going up against one player more often than not, which is the fullback if he's playing on that right flank, he can use that explosive acceleration more to create separation. Whereas sometimes centrally, which is the most congested area of the pitch, centre-backs are able to double up on him, and he can't use that physical advantage. It gets neutralized. Whereas that's one of his best things. At times in those central areas, he can be crowded out, especially because he's not tall, he's not able to win headers. He needs everything nice and close to his body. That is quite easy sometimes to crowd out and sniff out. Now, for me, Endrick's best quality is his ball striking. I think anyone who's watched this guy knows that he has freakish ball striking. From that right flank, he's able to create his own chances for himself. He's able to receive the ball in that sort of half space or even out on the touchline, cut inside and get those shots off, really utilize the ability to face goal. He can receive the ball facing goal. Whereas as a 9, like I said, it's a lot of back to goal work and the chances have to be at times manufactured for him. Give him more freedom on the right, let him receive the ball, let him turn and face goal and get those shots off. He puts whip, he puts dip, he puts topspin on those shots. It's lethal. And having more freedom means that we can see more and more of those shooting opportunities. He doesn't need those situations manufactured. In the 9 role, it's more protected, more crowded. He isn't able to get that separation off straight away. With that ferocious ball striking, don't underestimate the fact that Endrick is also ice cold in front of goal. He's got that inevitability I look for in top strikers where they run through on goal straight away. You know in your head, the best strikers always have it. Now, Endrick does need some refinement. He's quite an unorthodox player. He's such a typical South American player who is a bit of a breath of fresh air when they come to the European leagues because they do things that are out of the ordinary. Like I said, I think the striker needs more structure. At times, you have to hold that height. You need to be refined. Your first touch always needs to be on point because you're expected to hold up the ball and provide that back pad to link play. Where Endrick isn't that refined, some of these moments can be a bit bitty, a bit messy. And so if you are the 9, those turnovers in central areas can be more detrimental. Whereas if you're on the flank, there's less pressure. The whole point of being a wide player is kind of that unpredictability, that ability to create magic. Mistakes are survivable. You lose the ball in a wide area, it's not too detrimental. Endrick is just a classic Brazilian. He wants to be free. He wants to play through the feeling of the game. And I really think that's important to let a player like that be free, especially in a world and a game where it's so robotic at the moment. You look for players like this. These players break any structure because they do things that are unpredictable. They do things off the feeling of them. And not every player is gifted with that ability to feel matches the way that Endrick is. He knows when to rip off a shot. He knows when to bundle his way through 2 or 3 players. He just has that feeling. So the best way to utilize him at this point of his career is let him be free. Put him in a situation and a role that gets the best out of 1, his amazing ball striking, but 2, which allows him to drift and make mistakes at times as well. Now, I think with more refinement, you do want Endrick eventually to end up as a striker. You want him to be as close to goal as possible. And I think he will add the refinement needed. He'll grow into his body even more. He'll be able to link play better. He'll be able to learn when to move out of that striker role. And I think managers will allow him to move more from that striker role. However, because of where he's at right now, I don't think he has the freedom or the kind of credit in the bank to move and vacate that 9 area. Managers will still ask him at this point in time to be part of the wider collective. So right now, I do think the right wing takes the pressure off him. It allows him to do the best things possible that's made him the player he is today, while also still developing. Because there is a lot of refinement that's needed in Endrick's game. While we love that unpredictability, we love that kind of rawness, that no hesitation, letting shots off all the time, there is still some refinements of decision-making stuff that needs to come with it. And I do think allowing him to be on that right flank will help him develop this without kind of being detrimental to the team. And I think Leon are really, really maximizing him at the moment. So for now, right flank, really, really good. Long-term, number 9. But make sure you support Endrick because he is the exact type of footballer that we need in this game. He breaks those robotic structures. He's not a predictable player. He's someone that gets you off your seat. He's someone who just feels the game and feels what's right. And that is exactly what I love to watch in a player. It's exactly what this channel is kind of going to promote all the time. So please do, again, make sure you're subscribed. But all in all, thanks for watching. Comment down below who you want to see next. This is Beyond 90.